What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, I'd like to give you guys my review of the new Netflix original movie, Malcolm and Marie. Now, Malcolm and Marie is a story starring John David Washington and Zendaya. And it was filmed during the pandemic on what is essentially a shoestring budget, and it is a character study in every sense of the word. A character study on these two characters. So you've got John David Washington, who plays a director, Malcolm, who just had a great night, right? He just had premiered his movie, and it blew people away, and they all really liked it. In his thank you speech, however, he forgot to thank his girlfriend, his live-in girlfriend, Marie, played by Zendaya. And she didn't appreciate not being thanked very much. And essentially what this movie breaks down to is the two of them hashing out their differences throughout the course of a night. And they're hashing out their differences in terms of fighting, in terms of figuring out where the relationship is going, what their professional lives have looked like prior and after this night, and what they're hashing out their past, their romantic past with other people, and the struggles that they've had in their past, specifically Marie's struggle with drugs and addiction. And it was, like I said, it was a character study in every sense of the word. A deep dive into who these two characters are and what make them tick. Now, let me just say, I didn't like this movie a whole lot. I didn't think it was very good. But that I have to distinguish what I mean by that. I don't think it was very good. But the acting was excellent. Just excellent. I think that Zendaya was the standout here. I think that she did a better job than John David Washington did, but they both really knocked it out of the park. You could tell that this was something that they were passionate about, and that they really poured their hearts and soul into this performance. But like I said, I think Zendaya was just a little bit better than John David Washington. I liked a lot of the cinematography. I liked a lot of the angles that they used. It felt very professional. And this was, like I said, a movie shot during the pandemic on a shoestring budget. So the fact that it felt very professional and felt very cinematic, even though it was a black and white movie, it felt very cinematic. Those are all great things. And it was a Netflix movie, and Netflix movies sometimes don't feel very cinematic. And this did. This felt like it was intended for the movie theater. I don't think it ever was, but it felt that way. It felt like it was that professionally done, especially on the acting side. I have to give props to the acting again. They just blew it out of the park. I bought the arguments, and I bought the love. You could feel the love they had for each other. Even at a time when you felt like love might be ending, you could feel that love that they had for each other. So what did I not like about it, and what kind of made it a not so good movie for me? Well, I remember I had trouble kind of figuring it out, and I was talking to my wife a little bit about it. She said, "It's trying too hard to be artsy," and I said, "That's it. It's trying too hard," and it was that. She just nailed it on the head for me. It was trying too hard. All right, it was not realistic. All right, as somebody who's been in fights with his wife, as I'm sure most of you have had fights with wives or girlfriends or husbands or boyfriends or whatever, it didn't feel very realistic. And it's ironic because in the movie, they talk about authenticity in his work. And this didn't feel authentic to me. This felt contrived. This felt like something that was just built up and built up and stretched out so it could fill an hour and a half. That's really what it felt like. Like real couples don't do this. This did not tell the story of a real couple. This was a fantasy couple. A beautiful fantasy couple, both very attractive people, but it was a fantasy couple. And it just didn't feel authentic. And like I said, it was just ironic to me because they talk about authenticity in movies a lot. Now they do talk about movies a lot, and funny enough, when John David Washington's character Malcolm, when he goes off on tangents about what he thinks about movies and what he thinks about movies being political and what he thinks about how people review movies, I was like, I agree with him. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you on all that. I was like, very insightful. Perfect. But again, it wasn't authentic. It just felt contrived, and it felt overly manipulated to tell a story when in real life they would have gone to bed, woken up the next morning and all right, let's have some eggs and hash this out, you know? Or let's wake up in the morning and last night was last night. We're good now. You know, they did a deep dive into their lives. And you know, that didn't feel authentic to me. At least the way it was approached did not feel authentic. Neither one of them, this is another problem I had with the movie. Neither one of them were very likable characters. You know, she was just not somebody that you would want to be in a relationship with. I mean, straight up, let's bring on the drama. And maybe she was just having a bad night, but every time it seemed like the fight was over, and to his credit, every time it seemed like he made the strides that he needed to apologize and make her feel better, you could see in her eyes, I'm not good. I'm not good. We're going to continue this. And then they would talk and they would joke around and they'd make out a little bit, and then, oh, wait a second, honey, I gotta go pee. And then while he's peeing, you can tell, oh, for no reason whatsoever, when he comes back, it's on again. I think that's the type of things that happen in this movie, where you think it's over, but wait, there's still 35 minutes left. We gotta turn the switch back on. And like I said, it felt very contrived, and it felt very manufactured for our entertainment, and not authentic. So yeah, it just, they didn't seem like very, very good people. They weren't likable. She wasn't likable because she just went on and on and on and on and on. And maybe that was the point of it. And maybe the fact that me being a male viewed her as going on and on and on, maybe that means they did a great job. But he wasn't likable either. There was a point in the movie where I felt like he was getting the raw end of the stick, and he was trying to be nice, and he was trying to be a good dude. But then when she's in the bath and he comes in and he's just cruel and mean to her, just laying out his past and saying, I did this and I did this. This was the inspiration for this. This was, and it was meant to make her feel small. I was like, he's not a good guy either. So yeah, I was conflicted on this movie, but I think at the end of the day, I didn't really care for it. The acting was great. The cinematography was great. It felt cinematic, but at the end of the day, it felt inauthentic. It felt contrived. It felt manipulated, and I didn't care for either one of the characters. They were performed very well, but I didn't care for either one of the characters. And in a movie with just two characters, you gotta like them, or at least empathize with them, and I didn't feel neither. I saw two very immature people there. Speaking of immature, the age gap was a thing for me. I thought it was a little weird, right? He's pushing 40, she's pushing 25. Not illegal, but I also thought it was a little weird. So, my wife thinks that type of thing is a lot more weirder than I do. But even me, I was like, well, of course she's being this way. And of course he's being this way because she's a kid and he's about to have midlife crisis. Yeah, I just didn't care for the movie. And I know that a lot of people liked it. I also know a lot of people didn't like it. In fact, its Rotten Tomatoes score, it's not fresh. Let me see what its Rotten Tomatoes score is. Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it's not fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I did check that out before I made this video. 56. 56%. So, yeah, about half the people like it, about half the critics don't like it. Half the critics like it, half the critics don't like it. Its audience score is 75. So, audience tends to like it a little more, but 75 still isn't a very high audience score either. So, it seems like there's a lot of people out there that really like it, but it also seems like I'm not alone. So, anyways, I didn't care for it. I'm going to give it a C minus. The performances were great, but there just wasn't enough there to keep me entertained or to keep me, I'm never going to come back and watch this again. So, that's kind of my take on it, if that's fair. So, what did you think of Malcolm and Marie? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure that you're up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the OQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.